So one thing that you mentioned to me in private, now you can tell me if you don't want to touch on this or not,
Yeah.
but you mentioned to me how you deal with like anger issues.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, man. Like, I haven't really... This will be the first place I really talk about it in a public space, so...
If we can,
it's
better
exclusive.
Somewhere. Hey, man.
So, yeah, what do you want? Like, what's your curiosity?
I wanted to know, when did you first realize that you had or are dealing with anger issues?
So, a lot of this deals with my, like, mental health journey. And right now I'm on some meds that I probably shouldn't be on. Because, you know, it's just the way... I was going through a hard time. I went to a clinic. And they're like, oh, you seem to have, hey, this looks like the best medication for you. Here, you take it. Come back in 2 weeks, see how you feel. And I was doing okay at first, but like 2 months later, like say like since September, late August maybe, I feel like the meds has been causing me, like changing me in a way.
Okay. So,
yeah, I got to set up that appointment and get that under control. It's just that it's just more impatient than anything. It's not more... Oh, I'm good. Yeah. It's just more... I just want things done quick. I just have like a go mentality, if you know what I mean. Like, I mean, I am chilled and laid back, but when I want to do things, I really want to do things and not like just hang out. And sometimes I hold that same standard that I hold to myself to. That is unrealistic because I just want to... Sometimes I feel like I don't listen to myself when I'm pushing myself too hard, and I try to push other people based on how I would push myself, and that causes issues as well. But they're just things that I have to work on. And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's something I can relate to a lot. Oh yeah, especially when it comes to like topics.
Yeah.
Oh, so much of that.
Yeah. Hopefully, people listening can relate to it as well, because like you might feel sometimes like it's out of your power, but it's just a journey to...
Was it an incident that happened that you realized, okay, maybe I'm dealing with something?
Oh yeah, I've had a long journey with mental, like, man, like it's a thing in my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't say it's one specific incident.
No, not at all.
It's long history.
It's a history of things.
How old were you when you kind of became aware of it?
When it became really real for me and I couldn't ignore it anymore, I was like 17, 18.
Okay.
I was back in Montreal, and I was studying at this college called Vanier. And also my lifestyle wasn't the greatest at the time. Like, I wasn't taking care of my diet and the things I was putting in my body. So I had like a huge mental breakdown, and I had like really severe anxiety. I couldn't even walk into a food court without being panicked in my head. But then I got through some counseling, therapy, and all that, and it got me set up, and I learned how to deal with it and diminish whatever symptoms and get on with my life, you know.
So, what does it look like for you when you go through an episode of anger?
Oh, I'm actually like, I have a good shit, man. A lot of the time I don't show it because it's like, I don't know, just with my family, you always learn, like, if you don't have anything good to say or positive to present, then just don't. So, like, if I'm angry, I try not to let it affect people. Just when it's something, like, really fucked up or something that really pushes you past your limit, then it's there where I have a harder time. But I never really like did anything too crazy where it's like irreversible damage done to anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's just it's like relatively compared to before. I have more outbursts, if that makes sense.
So you mentioned to me that you tried breathing exercises.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, that helps so much.
Right. Yeah. So I guess, when did you start picking those up, and what kind of breathing exercises are there?
Around that same time, like when I was in college back in Montreal, I went to see this student. It was a psychologist guy doing his PhD, and I was doing treatment. I went for about a month or a month and a half, so weekly, once a week, 30 minutes, and he suggested this kind of breathing technique where you tense your muscles and go through different parts of your body, but I wasn't really like... I was like, that sounds too complicated. I was like, fuck that. I was like, well, he recommended a breathing exercise, so I'll look into that. And then I found out about Buddhism and meditation and all that. And through learning about, I got some books, went to the library, even just did some, I just did my research. And then I came across meditation and mindfulness, and that really helped me keep my emotions in check. Although, it really depends on the person. I'm not saying it's a cure-all, but for me, just breathing and get myself centered and focused really helps a lot.
So how often would you say you put those in practice?
I haven't lately, which could explain my difficulties lately. But when I have been practicing consistently, I would do like minimum 5 minutes when I wake up, 5 minutes before I go to bed, just sitting still or even laying down, just being comfortable and just watching your breath. And you're not trying to quiet your thoughts. You're just sitting there being with yourself, and you're just noticing that you can breathe. And that's it. You're not trying to not think. You're not trying to stop your thoughts. You let them go naturally. You just try to be in the moment and be present.
Word.
Yeah.
That's something, I want to bring this up. It's something that's recently been coming up more often now, is meditation. And it's weird because I practiced it, especially when I started dealing with like my anxiety.
Right.
And a lot of my mental health issues as well. I don't know if you know, but actually, I got to clarify. So I got some clarity. Right now, my diagnosis with the hospital is schizophrenia spectrum psychosis.
Which one are you, schizotypal or schizoid? Like, I know there's different.
I don't know. I just know that it's a schizophrenia spectrum.
So basically, all you know that is that you're on the schizophrenia spectrum.
Yes.
I know a lot of people think schizophrenia, like, oh, you hear voices, you see things, but it's more than that. It's a spectrum.
It's a little deeper than that.
Yeah,
and yeah, when you hear it, it's kind of like, oh my
like,
God.
Oh shit, I'm fucking crazy, bro.
Exactly.
But no, like, I've met a few people, they've had it, and they deal with it. You just got to take care of yourself. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess to bring it back, one thing, like when I was really starting to deal with those kind of issues, was I found meditation and Buddhism.
Right.
And I don't know, I thought it was a healthy, you tell me if this is healthy. I'd be meditating at work.
Yeah, that makes your work, I think that makes you a better worker. If you're more alert, more focused, less distracted.
That's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a religious Buddhist thing. It's just, hey, I breathe in a certain way. It makes me do things better. So why not do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. And the other thing that something else that kind of comes with that is like non-attachment.
Yeah, that's a big thing. That is difficult.
That is tricky. Super tricky.
Thinking of meditation, like a lot of people think meditation is hard, but the whole practice of non-attachment and on its own, it sounds kind of weird, non-attachment, like not being attached, not feeling things. But it's deeper than that. It's more like not learning to let go when you have to, and holding on to things while you can, and not just, let's say you missed the bus, instead of getting pissed off and getting mad, that's holding on to that idea you had of, oh, I'll catch the bus on time. But the reality is that person missed their bus, so they need to let go of that expectation they had and accept that they just gotta wait for the next one, and she'll be good.
Right.
She'll be all good.
And I agree with that. Like you said, holding on to things and then letting them go.
Right. It's not that you don't care about it. It's just that you're being comfortable that with the idea that with or without that you're still you and you're still strong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing that my friend, shout out to Owen. He's out in Laos.
Laos.
There we go.
Yeah.
And he was telling me the difference between non-attachment and unattachment.
Okay, yeah.
And
can you shed some light on that?
Well, the difference is from what I understand, I think unattachment is something that was never attached in the first place.
Right.
So what do you think about that idea? That humans, our experiences, let's say we were never attached to them in the first place.
That's an interesting way to look at it. But I'd also argue that you can't really be unattached to anything because you're part of the world and you can't exist without the world. And you can't exist without you exist. You have your body, your consciousness, your mind, whatever, but you're living in a place, in a world, and you were set in that world, so you were attached to that world.
Right.
But I mean, you can look at it different ways. I'm sure if your friend from Laos was here, man, he'd probably explain it
a lot better than I did.
Yeah.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself when you do like the meditation practices that maybe your communication with other people lacks? Or
lacks?
Yeah. Do you find struggle in communication?
Opposite. I feel like when I don't meditate, it lacks. I'm more distracted. I feel like I'm more prone to talking over people when I'm not grounded, And the meditation helps me think clearly, helps me be more patient, let people speak and listen to what they have to say instead of listening to reply, and just listen to understand,
Interesting.
Yeah.